like how this is held down by bolts instead of like plastic clips that, you know, snap off really easy. Like a lot of valve covers are. It goes loose. Goes loose. And then pull them out. I like to keep everything kind of in a tray. Close by. Box, whatever you want to put it in. Kind of keep stuff organized so you're not, you know, throwing it all over the place later. Trying to figure out where it goes. That just comes right off. Just got a 1 bolt left right in that one. And it's kind of hidden in a little gear tab thing over here in the back corner on the right. That one. I don't disconnect the positive terminal because I know that's a safety thing. I see people that are wiring harness carrying the valve cover. So you just squeeze the tabs right here for this. Lift this up. Get that guy moved out of the way. Pull back. This left from the valve cover. So you pull the wiring harness out of the valve cover. Retainers on along, allowing the harness to freely move. So pull this out of these retainers here. This gray area of the harness where you can freely move this harness around. Alright, so it's like, yeah, kind of pops over there. Alright, now the whole thing's kind of freely moving. Let's say in the OEM hose is visible, which is, yeah, right there behind that, behind the valve cover's back side right here. A little dirty, not too bad, dusty. So, let's see what they mean here. You can see the factory PCV hose back up down under there on the valve cover. So now, you loosen the OEM spring clamp, it says. Loosen the spring clamps on the valve cover. Hose, PCV hose. So we're going to take a pair of pliers, which, like an idiot, I forgot to put in here. Like the instructions show on the photos. You have to reach kind of down here. It's kind of a deep, it's actually really hard to see. Got the car just neutral, so I can move it back and forth. It's really hard to see, but it's kind of down right on the backside of the ventilating manifold. And it goes, obviously, into the ventilating manifold. You got the hose is very weird and very, the clamp is in a very weird spot. Kind of a pain in the butt spot, truthfully. And I'm going to hit a needle nose just to get to the clamp part. It's very pain in the butt, let's put it that way. Get the clamp on there, so I'm going to go ahead and start with the top one, because the top one I can see better. Sort of. Top one is right on the back side here. It's easiest just to reach under this wire loom case, plastic case, and give it a good push and pull. Still not easy to get to this one either, but it's way easier than that one down there in the bottom. Now we're going to keep all this stuff in a container to store. We don't lose it. Break the seal on the hoses by getting a little bit of a twist with the pliers to get it broke loose in the rubber. Now we're going to pull it off easier. Even then it's not easy to pull off. Alrighty, so we're going to go ahead and work on this for a minute. And now that you officially use every knowing the English language and other languages like Spanish, you get this bastard off, which is not fun. The top part's not that hard. The bottom part is insane. I had to end up using a screwdriver and slowly push away from the valve cover on the hose head of the hose, you know, the tip of the hose to break loose that lock that they get locked on when rubber gets jammed. I didn't want to tear the hose up in case I put it back on one day, but I don't plan on doing that, so, you know, there it is. All right, so now what they say to do is to go ahead and get these bolts out. Our fuel pump, our fuel line, protection plate, hiding plate. Of course, like all the rest of the bolts, are a little bit of PETA. Get off for a second, but not terribly. You got to watch out. This will easily drop down and disappear, and you'll be hunting forever, like I just did earlier for a pair of pliers with a magnet that fell down on there. Thank God, didn't go very deep. Put this plate off to the side. Put the bolts in it. If you're in Texas or anywhere else that has a heat wave, go ahead and sweat to death like I'm doing right now. Get you a sweat towel, dab your face off so you can actually see. And this one, it says this tab pops off and rotates upwards, which there we go right there, just like that. So pulls back, pulls away, and then you can take the tab off. I put it up here so I don't lose it, the clamp. And then it says pop the fuel line, but you're going to be ready to expect a little bit of fluid. So see here, release the fuel line from the right, push the plastic mounting tab lock on the back side of this, immediately the plastic tab will rotate forward. Then the other part of the line is right here. This is the one they're talking about, where you push on the tab and it rotates forwards, which, there we go, so you got to pull from this. I'm going to use a screwdriver, pop this little tab really easy. I say really easy, nothing's been really easy so far. So not at all easy. You just pop. This is definitely far from easy. So you gotta put this little clip here that's put inside this front piece, which is seemingly impossible to get to, but it's not. Once you get that out of the way, it will push away freely, it says. I haven't found anything to push away freely on this car yet, so since it says install, I'm going to go ahead and pause here for a second so I can pop this out and pop it, follow the instructions, pop it out. It says for the FL5, push the plastic mounting tab lock from the front side. When disengaged, the plastic tab will rotate as shown. So that's what I'm doing. I'm pushing the little tab right here, like a little clip thing. And I guess it's supposed to release. And it's not one to follow. There we go. Okay, so you got to get kind of the screwdriver down in there and then pull this away. There we go. Now the fuel lines are loose, like they say. Once you do that, you'll unscrew the other unbolt. They call it unscrew it, unbolt. The bolt's under there, under here, that hold this bracket on. So I see why they do that, so we can get to this. And of course, once again, sweating to death. Humidity is insane. You know, it's got a heat wave running like it is. Get up in here and get these bolts out. And this will take off this. I'm going to lay this up. In fact, I'm going to lay both the brackets up here on top. And I suggest everyone do that. That way you don't have, you're not chasing brackets later. Chasing bolts, chasing brackets. So this is going to take a good solid minute. Looks like get that out. There we go. Put these bolts up here so they don't get lost. Go ahead and head for the other one. Get this fuel line kind of down out of the way. There we go. And just go to town. I'm gonna put this, see right there? Almost went to the engine bay. Give me a nice little 10-minute hunt like the last piece tried to do. So just get this bolt out. I'm just going to take this bracket off. I'm going to wiggle it as you let it go so it's not gripping that bolt too hard. Alright, once you get that out, grab that bolt so it doesn't disappear into the engine bay, put it up there. Now your bracket is out of the way, and of course this fuel line clip right there is the same, but it doesn't say hold it off yet. See, hold the fuel line bracket with the firewall, temporarily move the bracket shown. Okay, so you remove it. It's gonna be the same clip technique right here with this guy. So you're gonna take this and push it away. Well, I guess this one doesn't matter because, yeah, it's just temporarily out of the way. So I'm gonna move it over here. There we go. It just pops right off. If you wiggle the line around enough, it pops out that clip. So this is the clip right here. You see the end of it right there, and then here's the other clip that we initially took out right there. Opened up. They both open that way, and this one opens this way. If you're looking at the bracket from the front of the car, it lifts up and comes forwards towards the front of the car. Go ahead and put this bracket up here. I'm going to lose it. And now, it said all type R's use the pair of holes furthest from the pitch can on the bracket. So place it behind the lean fuel line bracket just to go. Apparently it didn't really need to come all the way off, it just kind of did on its own, so, you know, oh well. We're going to go ahead and pop this bracket out of its package. Really lightweight aluminum bracket. We're going to pop this out, and it says it uses the two outer holes, I believe, so that means these two holes out here. So this one and this one are going to be used for the bracket. So, 2 million bolts, line them up. Oh, this is going to be fun. So I'm furthest from the pitch can, so it's going to be, instead of this hole right here, you can see that, it's going to be this hole and this hole. So the furthest from the catch can, the two furthest. So here's the last one, and there's that one, instead of these two closer ones. So, with that being said, we're going to get the bracket back right here, put it in front of that. I'm going to go ahead and line up one bolt through this darn thing because it's such a pain in the butt to get through. And we're going to put it through the last hole there on the bracket, like they say. And we're going to go ahead and position this back behind the fuel line and get it back on there. And while I'm holding it, I'm going to take the socket and go get a little bit of a threading in, get it started. There we go. And we got that one started. So now we just got to take the other one, look up inside there, get that bracket lined up best you can so the hole goes right through it. Kind of push on it, you can feel the bracket's in the way, so just going to move it around to it. There we go, let you through. Once you get that through that hole, you'll feel it pop in and it'll be in the right spot, obviously. So the catch can is going to come out towards the end here. And the good thing is, by pre-installing it in there, you're making it simpler for not putting it in the wrong hole on accident when you're putting the bracket on. So take this guy down. It looks like I'm going to go ahead and move the bracket. I'm going to loosen this a little bit. The bracket's a little close to the fuel line bracket, so I'm going to go ahead and loosen this. I'm going to pull that bracket, make sure it's all the way. Here we go, all the way at the end. So it is. And then I'm going to keep this bracket stock fuel line bracket. Sorry, I won't keep saying fuel pumps. Keep that stock fuel line bracket pushed level, so it's not auto pulling itself like it was towards the back towards the fuel line holder, and it'll get in the way there. And get that nice and tight. Looks good. Looks like I got it a little bit crooked, so just want to eyeball it, look down at it. If it's not perfectly level, I'm sure it doesn't make a huge difference, but I like to have things right, so I'm going to loosen it back up and adjust that bracket slightly. There we go. And get that level and bring it back down. There we go. So that's good. Bracket's solid. Pop that fuel line back in. It's a little, looks like I got a little, whoops. There we go. This one back in. This one's going to be the pain in the butt. There we go. Put it back on there. Put that back in. Now everything's back to normal there. So next it says, my laptop starts going into its speed airload. Place the OEM fuel line just like factory. Install the metal fuel line cover using the 2 OEM bolts, which we just did. Oh, sorry, cover. And so now that we did that, we're going to take this, go ahead and pre-hang this so it doesn't lose a bolt. There we go. And come down here with this one. Be careful so you don't miss a bolt hole and drop the bolt down into the ether. Alrighty. Now that we got that, we can finger tighten these. And then find our wrench that's trying to hide inside the car here. Put that back on, and go ahead and screw this back on like they say. Take it down under here, behind the plastic. There we go. Okay, now that's all good. And back on. Go ahead and pause off here for a second so I can cut. And now as it shows the instructions, I'm going to pre-orient these benches, tighten them down with some pliers. Got those O-rings nice and smashed in there, sealed off. This, they say to face this way on the bottom one, and this way on the top. The oil dipstick is like right there. So when you put all that stuff together, this is going to be right on the dipstick, but it'll be still enough where you can reach it. I should have purchased it when I purchased the whole kit, but I didn't because I wanted to save 60 bucks, but I wish I hadn't. I'm going to purchase, or already purchased, it should be shipping today or getting here next week, the drain petcock kit. That will make it 1,000 times easier. Run a hose down into the car on each one where I can, drain it. But at this point, every 5,000 miles, to me, it's not really a big deal to, reach under there and unscrew it. So I might not even utilize it truthfully, but we'll see. Anyways, once I get it all installed, I'll see how hard it is to take these cans off. If they're not that hard, then I'll just not worry about it. All right, let's continue. All right, so next we're going to take these push lock barbs, which it says requires a pretty immense amount of force to push all the way on this barb down to the collar there. And we're going to oil these up pretty good. The hoses, I'm going to shove these on there on a vise like that. So these are going to go in here, and then we're going to cut the hoses to length. Truthfully, I don't think it needs oil as much, depending on how strong you are, but I'm going to go ahead and oil it like they say. So we're going to run over here to the bench and go ahead and put these guys inside these guys and come back over here and start installing. Messy ass shop bench and the everything that goes with it. So here's the one hose. We're going to go ahead and just show you one of these. It says put a little bit of oil on it, so I'm going to take some of this extra AMS oil here and we're going to put that on here. We're going to lubricate. We're going to go ahead and clamp this in here softly. I'm going to take this little excess towel piece here that I had from earlier doing the ceramic coating. Get that from scratching that up. So we're going to take a little bit of oil here and just rub it around. This is the same thing you do when you're taking off, like, exhaust mounts or installing exhaust mounts, the rubber mounts. It makes them pop on nice and easy. Now it says it takes a lot of force, so we're going to see here. Let me crank it down a little notch so I'll push it through. Okay, I can see what they're talking about. It's not excessive, but it's pretty decent. And that's that. You don't have to have any clamps for these. No clamps. Excuse my messy shop bench again. No clamps for that. It just pushes right on, push it down to the collar, wipe off any excess oil, and do the same with the other one. And then we're going to screw them on there and test fit them to where they go on the nipples on the intake manifold and the valve cover. And then we're going to just loosely fit them like it says in the instructions and then tighten them up. And I keep forgetting to turn off the recording there. I'm going to be doing a lot of editing. Anyway, so now we've got the hoses, both the hoses. Keep forgetting to turn off the camera when I walk away. Burning up battery, burning up memory card. Hopefully I have enough left to make looks like I do. So anyways, here we go. Here's the two hoses with their ends. One's longer than the other one. I would assume that'd be the one that would go down. I don't know why they give two hoses like this. I mean, you could just cut one of these hoses in half and be perfectly fine, but we'll see. Maybe use the excess later because the other one just shows a heater hose, which I don't. Anyway, so we're gonna go ahead and put the catch can in. Put the catch can in, feed the hoses down. About 8 hours later, we're gonna get these screws up here. Alright, so we're gonna take the catch can like so. Place it like they said. You're gonna move this later over this way anyways, like right there. But for now, face it forward so we can get to all the bolts easy. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the Allen wrench and get it preset. Take one like this. I use these multi-tools. I like these things. Get it preset to the size, and they all differ. I have two sets. Some of them fit, some of them don't. I guess it's a metric thing. So once you find the size that it fits, which looks like we're running into the same issue we had in the last one, I'm gonna have to go get a different Allen wrench. Nope. There we go. Okay, so it's it may not be exact, but it's tight fitting enough to get them on there. So preset that, check that, go ahead and put one on there. Get you the catch can. This is where you don't want to drop stuff. In fact, I think these might be stainless. If you drop it, you're not going to be magnetizing it back up. And with that being said, I'm going to use my fingers. Put this inside of here. Go ahead and line it up. Put one in. Get it started. Once you get that threaded, go ahead and kind of take it down. They say put thread locker on it. I'm going to put that on later. I don't have thread locker on me today. I couldn't find it in the shop, so you know how that goes with your shops. Think you know where everything's at, and it turns out you don't. So I'm going to go ahead and put the remaining screws on like so. So each one will be in its little respective spot, bolted down tight. Usually you put the thread locker like they say. I can see why, because you don't want to tighten the shit out of these things, so you just want to make sure they're on there. Alright, so you loosely apply the fitting. It says hang down. I'm going to hang this one down because it's going to be going down to the bottom. But we're going to go ahead and loosely screw these on here like they say. Do in the instructions. And just like finger tighten them. Now this one, I don't know why they give you so much hose. I mean, this literally just goes right here. I mean, it's literally not even far enough to do anything. So it's like to go right there. It's gonna be so the easiest way to do this is to push this all the way facing that way, and then come over here and you can see where it's gonna hit the valve cover. So what you'll do is push this where it's going to be, come over to the valve cover, give it maybe that extra 1/8 of an inch. And just go ahead and run your hose cutter through it. I already pre-installed the little clamp here onto the hose before it was, shrunk down. And now it's shrunk down. I'm going to go ahead and put that there. Go ahead and rotate this so it's facing upwards, so I can get to it pretty easy. And then I'll check under here, like it says. Position this, pull this back so I can see where it's going. Position this on there, and slide it on there. And it goes on there really easy because this hose is slightly larger. So, that being said, I'm going to bring this clamp over all the way to where it's supposed to be. And then you can check over here. The rest of the way. Right behind. There we go. Oh, clamps didn't. Let's say the clamps don't clamp super tight there, so no boost pressure on this one. I assume that doesn't matter, but I'm sure once it gets warmed up, and they soften a little bit, that clamp will kind of clamp in and then get deeper cut. hopefully. Make sure you don't use the large clamps like this one. These are for the CCV crankcase. One of the smaller ones that are tighter like this that have a little clamp for it. Alright, so now you just go down in here, down to the bottom, and do the same thing with the other hose. So what I'll do is I'll route it down there, and I'll just take a marker, such as this, and I'll just make a mark on the line where it fits. That way I'm not screwing anything up. Forgot before, go ahead and put this guy back on here. So that'll be, yeah, I didn't put that back on, so don't forget that before you put that bracket on, block set, this plate, so you can put this piece back on. So I'm going to knock this plate loose, swing it around, put that back on. Alright, now we're moving on to the bottom line, and then we're going to go finish that, and then we're going to move on to the crankcase. So it says in the instructions, the top port hose, which goes to the valve cover, should be between 11 and 12 inches, and the side port hose to the intake manifold should be 7 to 8 inches. Okay, that didn't make it. I think they got that backwards actually, because the top one is only about 7 to 8 inches, and the bottom one is more like 11 to 12 inches. So I don't know how they got that in reverse, but they did, because actually they're about the same. I don't even know why this is 11 to 12. I mean, the hose fits perfect right there. You're gonna allow for some engine movement, which is normal. Of course, and it has banjo fitting, so if the engine moves slightly, it's gonna push against that banjo fitting. So I don't know what they were thinking, but anyways, yeah, I guess just best guess scenario, look down in there, kind of see how it goes, bring it back up, cut off what you think is a fair amount. Now it's I'm kind of jammed in here because I got the hose, already pre-shoved down in there. I have to unscrew it, which is fine, I can do that. That's what I'm going to do, because I want to make sure this is not too long, so I'm going to measure this off with the tape measure, and we're going to go off that. So 11, 12, so for the top, 7, 8 in the bottom. So I'm going to do about 8 to be safe. And the good thing is you got plenty of hose left over, because they give you way too much hose. I do not know why they do that, give you so much hose, but they do, which is fine. Better too much hose than too little hose, right? Tell you one thing, hose cutters save your butt. I will not do any kind of job like this ever again without my hose cutter. That thing literally is just phenomenal. They give you way too many hose clamps, save it to me as well. So you end up with like 2 feet almost of one hose and a foot of the other hose, 1.5 feet. Kind of makes no sense, but hey, whatever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to seal that. So I'm going to put this as best I can, imagining that right there. So that way I can shove that on there first, then I'll bring it up here and screw it on. That, to me, that'll be easier than trying to fandangle everything down in there. Seeing down in here is not fun at all. I mean, unless you have a flashlight just right on you, blasting on that thing. Okay, so I can see where they talk about this. Yeah, the 7 to 8 inches is pretty good for this one, pretty close. I don't know why they said 11 to 12 on the top. Maybe that's a different valve cover for the FK8 or something, because it's literally the same distance away. In fact, I would say 8 inches is almost too long for this. Probably cut off another 1/2 inch and it would, but not gonna worry about that, because the hose barbs can move. They got the banjo fittings that slide around. So reach down in here best we can, get that. That's not gonna work. Use a long needle nose plier. This is why I like these long needle nose pliers, so you can reach that clamp and go ahead and slide that little clamp down the hose. Probably choose your fingers underneath so you can kind of give it a guide. There we go. And put that right up against the, same as it was before, right up against the little nipple. And that should crush that. It moves a lot though. I'm kind of bothered a little bit by how easy these hoses move. They're a lot larger. But like I said, I'm sure after they warm up, they kind of, soften up and the clamps click in. But I would definitely check them after a good 50-60 mile run and make sure they're good to go. This one kind of pushes against the little electronics thing down there on the bottom, but it's not really, can't get around it because the hose is so close. But I'm gonna go ahead and put this hose clamp, I'm gonna put my finger underneath it, push it under, get it as straight as I can. It's hard to explain what I'm doing without being down in here, but I can't get a camera in here, even if I was like a little, an elf. All right, there. Looks like that's done. Moving on to the catch can now. Sorry, not the catch can, the crankcase, CCV. Alrighty, this has been the PCV portion. I'm not going to say it's easy. I'm not going to say it's hard. I would say it's kind of intermediate. And put this back over here. Put all the plastic stuff back. Clip those clamps back in, and move on to the crankcase. I did want to say one thing on the bottom valve cover. If you're using the kit, the older kit has the slide hose clamps. The newer kit has the screwdriver clamp. Follow the instructions very carefully, especially on the bottom valve cover, because when you get down in there, there's two tabs that you'll notice when you took it off. It was hard to get the clamp out in the first place. You'll slide that clamp down all the way up to the collar, up to the intake manifold inside those tabs, and I'm assuming that probably keeps that clamp from moving. So definitely pay attention to that, because that would be a very detrimental, pretty big issue, I would say. If you didn't pay attention to that, to get that to, lock in where it's supposed to be at. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten these now that we're done. And I'm gonna tighten them so they're already kind of facing up away from each other. And I'm gonna push this one down, which doesn't really make a difference, I don't think. No, this one won't, because this one's already it's on a banjo in a side fashion, so it's gonna go wherever it wants. But that top one, I just didn't want it, pushing down on the other hose too much. So there we go, nice and tight, not too crazy tight. Now that's 100% done. I'll put don't forget to drop that dipstick back in there so you're not having a leak. Otherwise why have a catch can if you're gonna just have a dipstick open to the world. Be careful, I scratch a little bit of the black anodize up with his wrenches tightening if you're a neat freak. I usually am, but in this case I'm not really worried about it. It looks factory. I mean, you can't even see the can almost at all if you're not really looking for it. It's pretty cool, especially when the engine cover's back on. It's gonna be almost impossible to see it. All right, let's move on to the CCV. All right, so this one, the instructions a little different. Take out the little dipstick as usual. Well, it doesn't say you have to on this one, actually. I'm gonna leave it, but they want you to pre-install. I want you to pre-install the catch can. What it looks like to me in this. Let's see here. You got this fashion right here. I want you to pre-install it in that fashion right there. With this port facing this way and the bracket facing back that way, and this angled cut edge right here on the front, kind of like a knife edge. Put your thread locker in, of course, again, and screw your bolts in where they belong, and we'll go from there on that. So you want to do that first to prep the install, prep the can. Looks like I did have you didn't see it in the bag, but I did have the proper clamps. So the other one is for the CCV kit. I wanted the multi little clamps. So this is the newer kit here, and it comes with the bolt down clamps, which I love because the regular clamps don't clamp that well. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull these off real quick, off the video of course, and put them on. So just make sure you look in your kit. You should have the newest kit if it's directly drop shipped. If it's an old stock kit, then you'll have the squeeze clips like this. Thank goodness I'm not that far into the project here, so I can just reach down and pull the hose back off and slide one of these on, stick a screwdriver down there and tighten it up. Okay, so once you got the catch can put together like this, like they show in the instructions, fitting facing this way towards the car, towards the engine, facing slightly this way towards this first bolt here. You're going to put it down, it's going to go down on here, so we're going to have to take these two engine mount bolts out. The good thing is it's being held in by one here still, so you're not going to have the engine, fall down. But yeah, gotta take those two bolts out so I can put this in. I don't know if I have enough battery power, but I use this impact for stuff like this to make it life simple. It's a 19 millimeter. Yeah, there we go. Throws those guys right out without any pain and annoyance. All right, so we're gonna place this like it says. Move 2 motor mouths showing, which is those two first. Place it into this and re-tighten to 69 foot-pounds. So once you put this little guy in here, we're gonna retighten it to 69 foot-pounds. Kind of annoyingly in the way here with the hose below it, but you know, hey, the hose can go around it. It's just a tight fit. That's for darn sure. Very tight fit. So make sure you get those threads pre-started before you start cranking it back down in there, so you're not messing up the threads. And I'm just gonna impact it, but I'm not gonna torque it yet because I want to make sure the catch can, it looks like the catch can is right where it needs to be. I'm gonna put it right there, line it up straight, and just torque it down. I'll get the torque wrench out here in a little bit and do that, but yeah, so that's that. Put away here safely. Now it looks like you move on to the CCV breather line, which is integrated with coolant tube. So you're going to remove the CCV breather line, which is, looks like it's right there. So yeah, it's going to come out with this. So this little weird looking Lowe's style thing. It was like an anti back off little weird little thing that I guess to keep them coming off on its own. I'm going to get this one popped out of the way so we got nothing in our way from that. I don't know how these, I guess you could use vice grips or something for these. Those are very strange. I don't like them. Yeah, it shows vice grips. So we're going to vice grip those. I'm not going to go into detail because my battery's running low on my Osmo. But you got to use vice grips on these. I use needle nose vice grips on these little tiny clamps to bring them out. Alright, so the next part is a pain in the ass. I mean, there's some pains in the asses already anyways, but this one's really nice. See if you can see down in here, right behind there, right down behind that elbow, you see right there, is a stock heater hose. But you have to get to that clamp, pull that off. This is not easy at all. And it says be prepared with a rag. You see my rag right there. So catch any coolant, but it says be ready to slide that other one on immediately. That's not as easy said as it is done. Or done as it is said, I should say. Easy said than done. Needless to say, long needle nose clamp pliers again is what I recommend. Because to get down in here, you're gonna have to go clear past. I mean, even with these, it's almost impossible. I almost feel like removing the entire intake pipe would make this super easy, but it doesn't say in the instructions that I can see anything about removing the intake pipe, the intake tube, but it does show when you're done, you're taking that entire hard line out and everything with it. So yeah, so it's right down. I'm saying a more difficult but cleaner option because the heater hose can bypass the connection and you can do a different routing. I don't really feel like taking the entire battery out, disconnecting everything, pulling all that crap out. So I'm just gonna go with what they do, which is the easier one. Just goes right there. And we'll continue with that. So follow the instructions how you see fit. Number 33 and number 34 on the instructions. Or what explain this. All right, let's do this. I'm not gonna film this because it's probably gonna take me a good 10 minutes and some cussing. Hopefully not that long, but definitely some cussing. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off here, and we're going to move on past this once we get that hose out. Show ends up looking like this in the catch can. Fittings.
You haven't got a big light, have you? I'll hold it.
Alright, excuse the wind from the fan over here. I'm running this big old guy. Working on that stupid golf cart too. I had some battery issues. Anyways, you can route it however you want. The instructions showed it routed one way. This seemed to me to be the easiest to route the top line over to become the top line up here, or up here, sorry, on the intake side, and then over here on the valve cover side. So the valve cover side comes out and ends up being this top port, like it says in the instructions. And then what I'm probably going to do later is going ahead and zip tie. Not zip tie, but I'm gonna put I've seen people putting a heat sleeve on this, or heat tape. I got some gold heat tape. I'll probably just wrap it around it, kind of keep it from getting too warm, since it's AC hose against all this area. Not that it'll make much difference. I don't think this catch can's gonna get any hotter than much of anything else. But anyway, so there, this goes over to the intake. This goes to the valve cover, and they're away from everything. They're not jamming in. Make sure to take these little clamps right here, rotate them around from the factory right here. Rotate that clamp around from the factory so it's not gouging into your hoses and rubbing them. If you want to make it extra safe, you can always put a little piece of rubber between those, but I don't think it's going to be an issue. It looks like it looks factory to me. I mean, you can barely even tell that's been done unless you really knew what you were looking at. Now I've got my catch can pre-routed, so I'm going to route the hose under here. And there's an open space between the engine mount and the frame, and I'm running it over there, and I have it running over to the rear catch can, and I'm going to tee them off. And you can see down in here, there's a really cool hole right there. Let me get my finger so you can see it. I'm sure you can see it anyways, right there. A little hole right there. Goes straight to the ground, and it's perfect for sticking a hose and just letting it rest slightly through there, through the front, through that area at the bottom, and that way you can just drain your oil out straight to the catch can or some kind of reservoir at the bottom. So I'm not going to finish this right this second. I'll add that to the video. The end of the video here after this, I'm going to add that to it when I get the Y barb. I bought a Y barb like that instead of a T. That way one Y goes that way, and one Y comes back up this way to the can, and then straight bottom one goes down to the that little hole. And the petcock will be right down. I'm going to make the petcock where I can reach down in here in this pretty decent space and just grab the side of it, like right there somewhere, you know, like that, and just turn it right above that hole. So I'll be able to turn the petcock and drain out both cans at the same time, which to me is a lot better than trying to run one kit over there and one kit over here, which I did end up buying 2 kits because I needed to get that special fitting. So this is the kit that I bought, petcock drain kit. Yeah, right there. It's petcock drain kit, Radium. And that came with a bunch of hose. I'm gonna have some extra hose left over. I didn't use it all. And a bunch of extra clamps, but this is the petcock. Now one of the petcocks, I'm kind of glad I did order 2. One of them, this one right here, is really hard to turn. This is just a cheap little Chinese made petcock, but it's really hard to turn. So I got lucky and the other one is actually really smooth, so I'm going to use that one. And yeah, this is going to be nice, and I'm going to be able to drive around rest assured that oil fumes and fuel and wasted junk is not going, moisture is not going back into my intake system at all, and not going back into the crankcase and mixing with the oil. So that's going to make me feel a lot better, especially if we go out to a track day and everything gets really nice and heated. I'm not going to have to worry about that. Next step would be oil cooler, so I might be doing that soon. But first I'm going to do downpipe, and then I'll move on to like the oil cooler, and then intake, of course. So downpipe, intake, tune, and then the oil cooler if I get to that point and really want to track it some. All right, going ahead and move to the next step of finishing this drain kit up. Well, I'll probably make that actually into a separate video, so this is the end of this video. So like, subscribe, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, please. Helps my channel out. My channel also runs on the business, which helps you know, keep everything in order, and everybody can watch what they want to watch and ask all the questions they want. All right, again, appreciate it. Thanks for watching, guys. And I'm sorry I don't make the best videos. I'll get better at it. I do want to get into this big time as this car progresses. But every time I install something, I'm going to let you guys know. I have a remark exhaust system installed. It's kind of crappy, but I'm going to go ahead and post it and wait for the flaming. And I'm thinking about selling my Remark exhaust anyways and getting a AWE because I like the sound and the look better of the AWE. Kind of wish I'd waited, jumped the gun, got the Remark. Nothing wrong with it. It looks great, sounds great. Just not loud enough for me, and I like the look of the AWE slightly better. Okay, it's up to you how you run this, but I went ahead and pre-cut this little guy. I'm gonna put some hose clamp on the end of this to cinch it up. It's pretty tight. Got it off of Amazon, got a Y. This is gonna go down in here. There's a hole down there, as you can see, for the drain. So I'm gonna bring this right about there, and the drain hose is gonna shoot the rest of the way down. And I'm going to plug the petcock into it, this little guy, right here. That comes with the kit. You only have to use one of them that way, and they'll all drain into one. The one thing you will want to make sure to do is, back down here off this back catch can, is to go down and follow that and tie that drain hose off to something that's, you know, below the level of the can, of course, back for gravity feed, but also to keep it off of the, you don't want to get wind up in your belts somehow or getting rubbed. So, yep, other than that, this is pretty much the end of the install. Just put all this stuff in. I'll cut to the part here in a second when I have it all done and have the petcock in. It's kind of hard to see in this little camera, but it should be pretty good. Alright, I don't know if you can see it in here, but there is the Y clamp with the petcock down in there. See the red? See it past my fingertips there? Yeah, right there. The red petcock right there. And then the hose comes over here, and I got it where I can just push it down when I drain it, and then it'll lift itself back up to keep it from rubbing on this metal edge right here, which could cut it, and also keeps it from rubbing on anything over here. I have it zip tied to that. And then back here, I lightly zip tied this. You can see it. I lightly zip tied this to the, right here, to the oil catch can lower hose. Lightly, that way nothing gets jerked around, pulled on, and otherwise torn off. Install's over. I'm going to test drive it in the morning when it's cooled down. I may even test drive it here this evening. Run it up the street, put some gas in it, make sure everything's good and ready to go. And then I'm going to be getting the AWE exhaust soon, so I'm going to run a couple of videos of the Remark drive-bys, in-cab, or inside, outside. Outside revs, inside the car driving, outside the car going by, etc. And so I'll put that up there as well as the Remark install, which is kind of a pain in the butt to make a video of, but I'll try to put it up there without being crucified by everybody. And the AWE install will be also filmed, and of course the first initial startup, and then the 500-mile break-in revs and drive-bys, flybys, etc. And I'll compile those into a comparison video as well, comparing the Remark and the AWE exhaust to each other, per the request of some of the owners. Alrighty, thanks again. Hit like, subscribe, smash that button. Give me some likes, give me some subscribes, guys. It's the only way I can build this channel. Soon we're going to start adding disabled veteran stuff to it. I'm trying to plan on getting the shop cleaned up where I can have disabled veterans and stuff come in here, and just veterans in general, do some work on their own cars and just talk shop and kind of get, you know, their minds cleared up. That's another one of my things I want to try to do. Alright, stay tuned. Peace.